This episode is brought to you by Sterling Soap Company. How often do you think about your soap? Well, if you answered, not much, maybe you should. You see, a lot of what passes for soap in stores is technically not soap, according to the FDA's definition. It's full of lab-created chemicals and detergents because, well, it's cheaper to make. Now, what if you could buy natural soap made from natural ingredients like tallow, palm oil, coconut oil, and scented with essential oils, and for just a little more than you'd pay for grocery store soap? Sterling Soap is 100% natural, and with a wide variety of bath soaps, shave soaps, beard balm, lotions, and cologne, there's a product and a scent for just about everybody. Check them out for yourself at sterlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com.
What's up, sports history fan? Dana Augusta here of the Historically Speaking Sports Podcast. Ever wish you can get behind-the-scenes access to the Hockey Hall of Fame and dive into the untold stories that shaped the game? Then you need to check out Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories Part 2 by Eric Zweig. Eric's latest book is packed with wild, unexpected tales from epic rivalries and game-changing moments to quirky incidents like polo injuries and snowblower mishaps. Eric Zweig's impeccable research and passion for the sport of hockey will whisk you through the NHL's early years, the origins of the Three Stars tradition, and how hockey first hit the airwaves. Plus, you get fresh takes on legends like Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Hall, and Joe Sakic. Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories 2 is available now wherever you get your books. Grab your copy and get ready to dive deep into the heart of the game.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to award-winning Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network. I am your host, Rick Loayza, and this is a podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. We are bringing old school basketball to a new school audience. And today we bring you the story of head coach Chuck Daly as he led the Dream Team to the gold medal at the 1992 Barcelona Olympic Games. Now, this is not a story about the Dream Team as a whole or their run through the Olympic competition. This story is about Chuck Daly and the masterful job that he did as the head coach of that team. At the time, many called it both the easiest coaching job in the world and the hardest coaching job in the world at the same time. On one hand, the job was easy because you have Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, and the rest of the guys all on the same team. Winning the gold medal was all but a given. He had the flexibility of putting pretty much any combination of 5 players out there, and they had a significant talent and strategic advantage. Others said that they would be surprised if Daly even had to draw up a play or make any sort of a strategic adjustment. However, on the other hand, if the team even had a close game, let alone an actual loss, he would be branded in the international media as the worst coach of all time. The Italian press, the Australian press, and especially the press from Eastern Europe would have had a field day with him. Every article would have started with some version of this opening line: "How in the world do you lose with Jordan, Magic, and Bird on your team?" In a very real sense, when it came to his reputation as a coach, he had virtually nothing to gain but everything to lose. He was already a 2-time NBA champion as head coach of the Detroit Pistons. He was a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame as long as he did not do anything disastrous, like losing the Olympics with Jordan on your team. But I wanted to share this story because I believe that he should be held in an even higher regard due to his work with the Dream Team. His leadership was invaluable in putting together the team and getting everyone to work together. Now, for those of you who are too young to remember, this was going to be the very first time that the American team was not going to have a traditional tryout. The people in charge of Team USA rightly determined that they already knew everything they needed to know know about the players that they wanted for the team. And I mean, seriously, were you really going to put Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and Scottie Pippen through a tryout like they were trying to make the high school varsity team? By the time the summer of 1991 rolled around, the committee already had hundreds of hours of game film on each of these players. They knew exactly what they could do, and they just wanted to select players that complemented each other. They needed 2 point guards, 2 shooting guards, 2 small forwards, 2 power forwards, 2 centers, and then 2 wildcard players. Furthermore, they knew that most of these players could play multiple positions, creating even more flexibility and possible player combinations. Magic Johnson could play all 5 positions. Jordan could play 3. Pippen could play 3. Bird could also play 3 of the positions. The committee decided to name the first 10 players of the team, with the final 2 spots to be named near the end of the 1992 NBA season, in case someone had a breakout year to show that they deserved a spot on the team. Now, the first players chosen as part of that initial 10 was Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Chris Mullin, and Scottie Pippen. Then in 1992, they added Clyde Drexler, and with the final spot reserved for a college player. And that spot ended up going to Christian Laettner from Duke University, who would start his NBA career after the Olympics. But here is where I really wanted to put the spotlight on Chuck Daly. What he had was arguably the most talented roster in basketball history, and I still hold that it was the most talented roster of all time. Leaving Christian Laettner out of the argument, the Dream Team had arguably the 11 best players in the world on the same roster. And that would be impossible today, because if you were to select the 11 best players in the world, they would not all be from the same country anymore. You would have to include players like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. These guys all play for different countries, and none of those countries is the United States. So with all of that talent, Daly had to get them to come together as a true team, not just a collection of all-stars. He had a group of alpha dogs on his team. Magic, Bird, Jordan, Stockton, Ewing, Barkley, Robinson, Mullin, and Drexler were all the clear leaders of their respective NBA teams. But every successful team needs to have leaders and role players. 8 of these guys were the leading scorers from their teams, so something was going to have to give. They were going to have to play like a proper team. So what did Coach Chuck Daly do? Well, one of the first things that he did was to arrange for a circular table to be brought into a conference room. And it was the same idea that we learned from the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. He specifically used a round table to show that no one was more important than anyone else. So Chuck Daly gathered the players together around the table and looked at every one of them and laid down some ground rules. He said that everyone will be on time for everything, on time for training, on time for games, on time for the bus to the airport, and he gave them the reason, and this was the really genius part. Now, I'm going to paraphrase what he said because I heard it secondhand from an interview with one of the Team USA staffers. But basically, Daly said, "Charles, when you are late for practice, you are saying to Michael and Larry that you do not respect them and their time. Michael, when you are late for the bus, you are saying to Magic and Patrick that you do not respect them. Showing up on time shows the rest of the team that you respect them and what they are all trying to do here." And not once was anyone ever late for anything that summer. He also told them that they were not going to get the same number of minutes that they were used to on their NBA teams. Not only were the Olympic Games shorter than NBA games, they also had a squad full of starters. In the NBA, these guys were used to playing at least 35 minutes per night, but at the Olympics, they would be lucky to get 20 or even 25 minutes. He also told them that nobody was going to score anywhere near what they score in the NBA. They had some of the deadliest scorers in the world on one team together, so they were going to have to share the ball. By the end of that summer, the leading scorer of the Dream Team was Charles Barkley with just 14 points per game. Some people would say that what Daly did was just good management, and yes, it was. But you have to remember that this particular collection of players were some of the most stubborn and strong-headed players around. Just because the coach says that they will have to share the ball does not necessarily translate to the team actually sharing the ball. But he was masterful in the way that he created an environment where it was not just the coaches keeping the players accountable, but the players keeping each other accountable. And that is what makes a really great team. Another thing that he did to help the players see the reality of the situation was to set out some chairs during the very first practice session. The players that were not actively in a drill had to sit down in the chairs and watch the others go through the drill. He wanted them to face the reality that on this team, they were going to sit on the bench more than they have ever sat on a bench in their entire careers. None of these players ever sat on the bench for 20 minutes or more of a game. Daly wanted the players to get physically used to sitting when not on the court. And this hit home with many of them, and they understood what Daly was trying to communicate. But the real masterstroke for the preparation of this team was when he brought in a team of the best college players in the country, and they were called the Select Team. And that team included Bobby Hurley, Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, Jamal Mashburn, Allen Houston, Eric Montross, Rodney Rogers, and Chris Webber. Now, what Daly did not tell anyone, not even his assistant coaches, was that he was coaching the Dream Team to lose the game. He played guys out of position, and he barely played Michael Jordan at all, and they were calling fouls in favor of the Select Team. At the end of the game, the Select Team were the victors. The Dream Team was absolutely embarrassed. Despite the unusual substitutions and playing out of position, the Dream Team players knew that there was no way that they should have ever lost a game to a group of college players, even if they were the top college players around. With Jordan sitting on the bench for most of the game, they still had Drexler, Magic, Barkley, Robinson, etc., etc. They were more skilled and more talented than these college players were. They had been through some of the biggest moments in NBA history and had come through. And on that day, they cannot even defeat a team of college players. Mike Krzyzewski was one of the assistant coaches on the Dream Team, and he tells it best. He said that Chuck Daly wanted the team to understand that they could lose if they did not play like a team. These college players had just proven it. The Dream Team was not going to coast through the summer with low effort. They had to take every opponent seriously. And boy, did that work. The Dream Team had to reflect on their loss for the rest of the day and that night. A second game was scheduled for the next day, and the Dream Team got their revenge. With everybody playing in their proper positions and with Michael Jordan playing significantly more minutes, the Dream Team utterly destroyed the Select Team. There were long stretches where the Select Team could not even score a single point. Robinson and Ewing were blocking every shot in the paint. Jordan, Pippen, and Drexler were playing the passing lanes and forcing the Select Team offense to a grinding halt. And nobody on that Select Team could stop Magic Johnson from running the offense like a master. Of course, we all know that the Dream Team not only won the gold medal, but they defeated their opponents by an average of 44 points. They had come in prepared to take on all opponents. And I want to bring this back to the beginning of the story. Most people say that anyone could have coached that team and still won the gold medal. And many average fans will say things like, hey, I could have coached that team to the gold medal. But I don't think that's true. It takes a very special coach to be able to lead a collection of enormous basketball egos. He brought these alpha dogs together and helped shape them into a proper team. Magic was the clear vocal leader of the team and a captain. Larry Bird was the co-captain because it was only right that Magic and Bird be the official team leaders. Jordan was comfortable with the third position on the team out of respect for the fact that Magic and Bird both still had more championships than Jordan did at the time. Once the rest of the team saw Jordan take a secondary role as a leader, well, the rest of them filled into their spot. The reason I wanted to do an episode was to give Chuck Daly his due. What he did that summer was a masterclass in basketball coaching. For those that think that all he did was roll out the basketballs and just watch practice, could not be more wrong. Daly was an incredible leader of people, and he made the Dream Team into a true team in every sense of the word. And I want to salute Chuck Daly. Sadly, He passed away in 2009, but let us not forget what he did in the summer of 1992. Well, that is it for today. Join us next week when we share another story from basketball history. That's next time on Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of Sports Yesteryear. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com to find out more about this and other sports history podcasts. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And check out our page on Facebook. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast. And there you will find shorter historical posts, and I'll also share when new episodes come out. I want to thank my producer and editor, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories from the past. Take care and see you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. The heel gets the heat. The babyface gets the cheers. But the jobber gets, well, the job done. And speaking of jobbers, Barry Horowitz wasn't there to win titles. He was there to build them. By selling every move, every storyline, and every new star that stepped into the ring. He was the secret sauce. And now, he's the headline in his new book titled, Wrestling is My Gimmick, My Life on the Wrong Side of the Three Count. This memoir is a deep dive into wrestling's most underrated position, and the man who made it an art form. Whether you're a fan of wrestling, a fan of sports history, or just love a great story, this book is for you. Again, that's Wrestling is My Gimmick by Barry Horowitz. Grab your copy today before the count strikes 3.